Hey Rockets, welcome back to Zane and the Hurricane. So when we last left off, Zane found out the truth about his uncle, about his dad, and who came to pick him up, his mom. He's about to be whisked away out of all of this tragedy, this hurricane, all the horrible experiences he's been through, and he's going back to New Hampshire. And it even has ended up being a good thing for Malvina because remember, she and Mr. True are going to stay with who? With Belinda. So when we stopped yesterday, I was at the last chapter on the book. And the last chapter is titled 1 Year Later. So this is a whole year after all of the hurricane and all of the things that went on. Let's see what happened. When I look back on it, the only thing I'd change about what happened is this. I wouldn't call the place Smellyville. That was childish of me and insulting to all the people who live in New Orleans or who used to live in New Orleans. So much was washed away in the flood, so many homes, so many lives, that 100,000 people haven't been able to return home. One of them is my great-grandmother, Beatrice Jackson, Miss Trissy. She lives with us now up here in New Hampshire and has joined a church and sings in the choir. Oh, so Miss Trissy is now living in New Hampshire. Wow. They wrote about her in the paper, about her amazing voice and the amazing story of her life and the like. There aren't many black people living in this area, but Grammy, she seems to have found them all, and me and Mom are getting to know them too, which is really great. As for Malvina, she came to visit this past summer, and that was cool once she got used to it. I talk to her almost every day on the phone, and she's doing pretty good, all things considered, and she's still cracking those crazy jokes. The jokes are getting better too. She lives with Belinda, who has been appointed her legal guardian. Wait a minute. Belinda is now Malvina's legal guardian. What does that mean? Type it in the comments. Because her mother came out of rehab and then she had to go back, which is so sad. Malvina says she doesn't hate her mom, just the opposite. She feels sorry for her and hopes she'll someday get herself free of drugs. There's always hope, and in the meantime, Malvina is really serious about wanting to have a career in comedy. You wouldn't think that tragedy can turn into a comedy, but it can. That's the whole point. Like Malvina says, she has a lot of material. A dead father, a druggy mother, and all of that. She's got a story to tell. A lot of people wouldn't get it, but I do. Mr. True has been staying with Belinda too until his new place is built in a block of new homes reserved for local musicians. But a lot of the time he's on the road with one band or another, some of them famous like Kermit Ruffins and Harry Connick Jr. and the likes of them. His friends sponsored his fundraiser in the French Quarter to help him get some new brass instruments. And so much got donated to Mr. True that he gave away instruments to all kinds of other musicians, which was a beautiful thing. He and Malvina are still tight. I'm sure they always will be because he saved her life by risking his, and she saved his life by risking hers. You can't get any tighter than that. In case you're wondering, Bandit made a full recovery. We got him a prosthetic paw that slips over his wounded leg, and he can run full blast on all four legs and do everything he could do before, like chase squirrels. Not that he's ever caught one. Mom says if he ever does manage to catch a squirrel, he'll make friends with it, and guess what? That's probably true. Oh yeah, I forgot about one other person, Dylan Toomey. This is sad, but I guess about a month or so after the storm, he was killed by one of the underage kids who worked for him selling drugs. It's awful and all, but Grammy said it best. when she heard the news. She said, the wages of sin is when people do unto you what you did unto them. Amen to that. To be honest, there's a lot I don't understand about what happened after the storm. And why people were so good and full of love and others so mean and hateful. But this much I do know. That day on the bridge, I was a proud African American. I was a white kid from New Hampshire. I was my mother's baby. I was my father's son. I was the one and only Zane Dupree. Rockets, we're at the end. Make sure you write your solution down here. How did we solve the problem? Make sure that you go on to your events, your plot sheet, put your E for end, write down what happened at the end, and send me a picture. You will have another assignment that goes along with this. I'll be sending it out on Monday. Enjoyed every moment of reading a book with you, Rockets. Later.